the game. You don't play to just play. Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. Can't wait. Let's go.
Good morning and welcome to Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show here on Sports Empire Network. Thank you for joining us this morning, however it is that you may be watching us, whether you are on Facebook or if you are over on YouTube. We are happy to have you here on this Friday morning. I am Chris, and of course, that is Mo. Mo, how are you this morning, sir?
Doing a lot better, everybody out there. Thanks for all the well wishes. Good to be back.
Mo, happy to have you back, and let's jump right into Thursday Night Football. I am going to be very tempered in my response here because there's a lot of negative things I want to say about Buffalo. I'm going to do my best not to say them, Mo. So I'm going to start with this. Buffalo did, for the most part, what I said they needed to do. I said they needed to build a 2-score lead last night. I said they needed to create a game where you never really felt like Tampa Bay was going to win. And I said they needed to really take care of Tampa from beginning to end. And they did that for about a half because it was 17-10 going into halftime, closer than I thought it should be. They came out, they scored to open up the second half, and then until the last 4 minutes of the game, you didn't feel like Tampa Bay was really in it. It was a 14-point game for basically the entire second half, and until that late touchdown by Tampa, you never really felt like Tampa was in this game or had a chance to be in this game. So as far as that goes, Mo, I'm going to start this conversation by saying Buffalo did last night what Buffalo needed to do, in my opinion, and that should be enough for Buffalo fans in the vacuum of just this game. What are your thoughts?
I watched a lot of the show yesterday, and I think your points were spot on. And for me, watching the game, it was real simple. They went out, they beat a team they were supposed to beat. They're supposed to beat that team. But and the bottom line is you get the win. It's a week-to-week season. There's 17 games in the season. You'll take that win, ugly or not. But was it an impressive win? Not by any imagination. It was not an impressive win. I actually came away thinking at one point there were little moments in the game where Tampa Bay had so many opportunities, and they just couldn't hit on them. Look, Buffalo won the game. If you're a Bills fan, you will take that win. To me, you take that win with some concern. Your team seems to lack that killer instinct to put somebody away and establish that they are the better, more dominant team. There's just something missing there. So take the win, but it's not an impressive win.
So, all right. I'm doing my best over here, Mo.
I see you're holding out.
I'm holding out. So there was a moment in the third quarter, and it happened. I watched it, and I literally said out loud, Tampa Bay missed the Josh Allen F up. There was a moment in the third quarter. It was a 3-play sequence. It was on the first down play. He should have threw a pick. He threw a ball about 30 yards downfield towards Gabriel Davis for absolutely no reason. And maybe Davis ran the wrong route. Maybe he just overthrew him. But the only person there was the Tampa Bay defender, and the defender couldn't make the interception. Then the next play, he runs into a blitz, and he throws it about 8 yards short into the ground on a screen play that they miss. And then on the third down play, they don't convert. So my first thought there was that was the Josh Allen F-up that he normally has once a game for no reason because they were up 14 at that point. There was no need for him to do that. And Tampa Bay didn't make the play, and that was it. So I was like, Tampa Bay missed their opportunity. Everyone's going to wake up this morning, Mo, and they're going to say Buffalo is back because Josh Allen ran the football last night. 7 carries, 41 yards, and a touchdown. He ran a lot in the first half. He didn't run as much in the second half because they were up by 14 for most of it, so there was no real need to. And I'm going to tell you this. what you saw last night does look like the old Josh Allen, and it does look like Buffalo from last season and the season before. And everything came together last night perfectly to show you why this is going to be an issue. Because where did Josh Allen end up last night at one point? He ended up in the blue tent. Why did he end up in the blue tent, Mo? Because he hurt himself. There was a point where Al Michaels said he can't high-five his teammates last night because he can't raise his arm because he's injured right now. And they went back and they showed you the play that it looked like he injured his arm or his shoulder or whatever it was on because he's out there running the football. Mo, we have seen Josh Allen be the offense of this team from the passing and the running attack. It works at times. I would even argue it works a majority of the time, but the issue is it's not sustainable. You did this against a team, and I no disrespect to Tampa Bay, but Baker Mayfield looked just about as slow back there last night as Russell Wilson does. Baker Mayfield, he was playing at half speed. And I understand the man's got a brace on his knee the size of a freaking quarter pounder with cheese. And he may not be the most mobile human being out there. He looked slow last night. Also, and props to Buffalo, it helps when you're starting the majority of your drives inside your 5-yard line. Every time I looked up last night, Baker is taking snaps from inside his own end zone. Don't sit here, Buffalo fan, this morning and tell me that doesn't completely change the game plan and benefit your side. You're not going to be able to do that consistently week in and week out, especially with the teams you're going to start playing against that I talked about yesterday. 5 of your next 6 games are brutal. 5 of your next 6 games, you're not going to be favored to win all those games. So you did what you had to do last night. You needed to beat Tampa Bay. But Mo, like you said, nothing about that win was impressive. You jumped out to a 10-0 lead. Tampa Bay battled back into it with a Josh Allen turnover, which if you look at the scheme of Josh Allen interceptions, that one isn't necessarily on him.
No, not really. No.
Because he literally turned into a defender and he just reacted. It is what it is. But again, it's another Josh Allen turnover. Come hell or high water, the man finds a way to turn the football over. They get back into the game. It's 17-10 at half. You're not feeling that good. You only scored one. You scored once in the entire second half. I understand you didn't need to score more necessarily because Tampa Bay wasn't doing anything. But does that stop the Chiefs? Do the Chiefs score to open up the second half and like, we're up by 14. We just won't score again? No.
No.
They score 2 or 3 times in the second half. Does that stop the Eagles? No. Good teams put bad teams away. And that's the struggle we're seeing with Buffalo. Yes, they won. But they should have won by 2 or 3 scores. And if you're going to sit here this morning, Buffalo fan, and tell me Josh Allen running the football is the fix to all of this, I'm sorry. But you're going to play teams and you're going to be in situations where you need Josh Allen to make crucial plays and he's not up by 14. And him running the football is going to get us back to Josh Allen roller coaster. And Mo, that's not a ride that you want to be on if you're a Buffalo fan.
If Josh Allen's going to run the football, especially his running style. So there's different kind of running quarterbacks, but he runs the football like a fullback. He's looking for contact. He doesn't look to protect himself, and he's dynamic. There's no doubt, but he takes a lot of big shots. And him running the football, the style that he runs, because he doesn't care for his body, it's not sustainable, and it's going to cost you QB1. He's going to miss some time if he keeps running the football the way that he does. He's got to learn how to slide. He's got to learn how to get out of bounds. Everything doesn't have to be a collision. He's got to be smarter about when he picks and chooses to take off and how he finishes runs, because I just don't think it's sustainable long term.
And I'm listening to the broadcast last night, Mo, and I'm amazed because they're feeding into it. They're like, oh, look, this is what the fans want. Run, Josh, run. Run, baby, run. When Josh runs, Josh is right. He needs to be running the football to be playing loot. No, he doesn't. That is the most ridiculous and asinine thing I've ever heard in my entire life. If your quarterback honestly needs to be scrambling around to feel good about playing the quarterback position, you don't got a damn quarterback. You see Tom Brady out there being like, man, I gotta run 10 yards today if I feel loose. If I don't get a 10 or 20 yard running, coach, I'm not gonna feel like myself. Stop it. Stop. I understand that Josh Allen becomes more of a playmaker when he's running the football. I get that. But as a coach, you need to put him in the best position to be successful. And they were designing runs for him last night, Mo, and that's the part I don't like. Josh Allen is going to run enough by himself. The touchdown run, I have no issue with that. Literally, the entire defense parted for him.
Right.
And he had almost a clear shot to the end zone. It was a 22-yard run, and I don't think he hit a defender until 18 yards into it. That stuff I'm okay with. But the designed runs, you're playing with fire, Mo. You're playing with fire
100%.
Because the more you start designing runs for Josh Allen, the more he's going to get into that run-first mindset, and the more he's going to be, oh, Stefan's not open, let me go run the football. They've
got good running backs. Trust your run game. Let your running backs run the football. And they were effective last night when they ran the football. I really think that we've been talking about this since last year. The biggest bugaboo about the Buffalo Bills is they don't balance out their offense. And their fans buy into the super Josh thing that they actually want to put everything on his shoulders. And I'm against that. He is your superstar. He is your franchise quarterback, but you've got weapons and you've got to use those other weapons. You don't need your quarterback running like a fullback. You don't need that. You've got running backs to take that kind of punishment. I just think that Buffalo fans and maybe the coaches in the play, like you said, design runs. The design runs work with guys who know how to run the football, who try to avoid contact. This guy is taking massive shots. And like you said, even Al Michaels pointed out, the man can't high-five his teammate because he's injured. He plays football in a reckless. Look, if you're into that old school mentality, it's great. If you're a quarterback and you're doing that, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. You've got to think about your team, yourself, and your long-term health throughout this grind of a season.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson, who played 3 or 4 series last week for Cleveland, he went 1 for 5 for 5 yards with an interception. He was pulled from the game last week. At one point, he was in not concussion protocol. At one point, he was being tested for a concussion on the sidelines. But apparently he was not pulled because of concussion-like symptoms. He was pulled because he was still having issues with his shoulder. The concussion test came later on based on whatever the sideline doctor saw. But he was asked this week, Mo, about whether or not he rushed himself back from the injury to play in last week's game. And Deshaun Watson basically said, yes, he pushed himself back too soon. He wasn't ready to play, which was evident on Sunday right away. After a first series or two, you were looking at Deshaun Watson, if you were watching that game, saying, what is he doing? Because he doesn't look right at all out there. So, Mo, I ask you this. Why did we not know this before Sunday? You had to have seen him practice if you're the coaches. You had to have seen him run through something that week and realize he can't do it. If you're Deshaun Watson, you know your body. You had to have known. I understand pushing it and trying to play through injury, and I get it. Sometimes you think you can, and then you realize that you cannot. But there's a difference between, man, I thought I could go, but I'm just not where I want to be. I'm not going to push myself and hurt myself more. That's one thing. It's another thing when you're like, man, I thought I could go, but I can't even go out there and be a quarterback at all. Like, I can't even go out there and play like a third string quarterback. I am so hurt right now. That's how
Two
bad
extremes.
it looks.
Yeah.
So, Mo, I ask you, what was the coaching staff in Cleveland doing? Because shouldn't they have known that he was nowhere near ready to play this Sunday? Now, it didn't hurt them because they win the game.
Sure.
But it very easily could have cost them the game this past week by putting him out there for 3 or 4 drives. And fine, let's say, Mo, they didn't realize. Maybe he got through practice all right. Maybe he was making the throws in practice and he was like, I got it, coach. I'm all right. I got this. The first series, you should have known. Why did it take 4 series to pull him out, Mo? What the heck is going on in Cleveland?
I just feel like there was a lack of communication. You pointed out something that I think did play a part in this. I think Deshaun Watson was trying to be a gamer. I also think that he feels a certain amount of pressure because of the contract. Right? He feels a certain amount of pressure. He hears the fans mumbling. He doesn't look the same. When the other guy's in there, we actually play better. I think he feels the pressure that he needed to play, but there's a disconnect between the training staff, the team physician, and the coaching staff. Because like you said, you've got eyes. You can tell if he's right. You can tell when a guy is right. Maybe he could fake it till he makes it out of practice. But once he was on the field, Chris, it was evident he was not 100%. He looked out of it. Something was off. And I'm like you, why did it take multiple series? That's a disconnect between the coaching staff, the training staff, and the player.
Yeah, that conversation has to come after the first drive, where if you're the coach, you're like, you don't look right, Deshaun. What's going on? And maybe that conversation happened, and maybe he talked himself into, 2 or 3 more drives, at which point I say to myself, that's a head coach issue, because we can name off 4 or 5 head coaches right now that would have pulled him after the first drive and been like, you're not right. Go sit down. We'll figure it out later. But
Belichick's shutting that down automatically.
Yeah, Belichick's calling a timeout.
Yeah.
After the first time he drops back and he clearly can't throw the football.
Right. It's over.
Belichick's calling 2 runs and that's it. I'm wrong. He wouldn't waste a timeout. He will call 2 runs,
right,
and that would be the end of Deshaun Watson for the rest of the game, because you have to put the team over the player.
100%.
And every NFL player wants to be out there, Mo. Every NFL player wants to prove they can play through injuries and fight with their guys, and they don't want to lose their spot, and they hear the noise. And to some level, every NFL player has that going on. I get it. It's 100 times more when it's the starting quarterback, and he's making a bunch of guaranteed money that a lot of people feel he didn't deserve, and a lot of people are still kind of holding what he did before he came to Cleveland over his head.
Oh, agreed.
Fair or unfair, I get it. I get his want and desire to be out there. But, man, you're not going to help yourself doing what you did for those 4 drives. 1 for 5 for 5 yards and a pick. That's not going to help you. Stop it.
And the scary part is he could have hurt himself worse.
Right. Get better, figure it out, and go out there and play when you can actually play. Because you did nothing for the narrative of the backup played better. Because you played so bad that if he just played average, he would have played better. But he came in and helped your team win the game. So you're doing nothing for yourself. And what did Cleveland turn around and do, Mo? They signed the backup to a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
Because they realized, hey, 1, we might need him more this season. And 2, he's playing pretty damn well. So let's hedge our bets and make sure we keep him in town and don't lose him to waivers or anything crazy like that.
Right.
Let's lock him up for the year. Let's get his head right in case he has to do this for multiple games. So now if you're Deshaun, you're definitely feeling the pressure because they locked in the guy that's playing better than you for a year. So
it's frustrating. I know if you're Deshaun Watson, the voices are getting louder. It has to get to you to some point. And look at Cleveland. They have a superstar, but his name is Myles Garrett, right?
Yes, they do.
That's their superstar. That's the special guy. And what they're saying is what the backup did the last couple of games, he does just enough. And that's all they need, really. They're a running team. He does just enough. Don't turn the football over. If you have to go 3 and out, we trust our defense. That's got to make Deshaun Watson feel even more pressure. But I'm with you. If you want to shut down that narrative, you need to get yourself 100% and then come back and compete. But you have to put your team first.
Breaking news yesterday, or it actually was last night, out of Miami Dolphins camp, Jalen Ramsay apparently is going to be making his season debut against the New England Patriots on Sunday, 3 months after meniscus surgery on his knee, an injury that initially was going to place him out until December.
Yeah.
He appears ready to go now at the end of October. Now, there was some follow-up news after the initial breaking news. So Adam Schefter broke the news initially, and then about an hour or so later, Jalen Ramsay took to his own social media accounts to push back a little bit on Schefter's report, saying that there is a chance he is going to play on Sunday. And that then he started to joke around saying, damn, I must have looked really good in practice today if everyone's thinking I'm going to play on Sunday. So clearly, and I trust Adam Schefter. He is right 99% of the time. So clearly he got word that the plan is probably to play Jalen Ramsay on Sunday. Jalen doesn't want people to be disappointed or think, less of him. He is a very prideful man. So he probably knows the situation is more like if Friday goes well, if nothing happens, if nothing flares up on Saturday during the travel day, if walkthrough on Sunday morning and warm up on Sunday goes well, you're probably going to play. That's my guess is that's the ballpark of what he was told. And in Ramsey's mind, he's probably playing. But Jalen probably also understands things happen. Sometimes you wake up and the knee is swollen. And if the knee is swollen, he's definitely not playing on Sunday. 100%. So he knows that if there's any little deviation from the plan, they're probably going to hold him back another week or so and not let him play. So I understand why Jalen came out and said what he said. But Mo, let's not bury the lead. 3 months removed from meniscus surgery.
That's what's
this man is taking the field.
That's what's insane about this.
That's incredible.
And remember, the cornerback position next to the quarterback position is the hardest position in football, right? Because they have to be able to stop, start on a dime. Remember, they're backpedaling and they're reacting to what the receivers are doing. And to be able to do that, the start, the quick moves, the lateral movement required to play that position, 3 months on a meniscus tear, that's insane. So I have to think, Chris, if he is playing, let's say all things goes well, it's probably a pitch count. Maybe he plays 20, 25 plays.
Yeah,
I'm sure, you know what I mean? Just to see where he's at. You don't want to do too much. And you definitely don't want to avoid any kind of high impact immediately. So I think 20, 25 plays and they'll probably sit him. And look, no offense to Patriots fans, but if you're a cornerback and you're coming back from a meniscus tear and it's your first game back, it's kind of good to not go against a high-powered offense. No, I'm just saying.
Mac Jones is a perfect medicine to ease you back into the league, baby.
And I'm not killing Mac Jones. I'm just talking about the Patriots receivers as a receiving unit. They don't strike fear throughout the league. So, it's a good first game back for him.
Mo, I get a lot of hate as a Dolphin fan. Obviously, we Dolphins have lost to the Buffalo and they lost to Philly last week. But I ignore most of it. I don't try to combat people after losses because you're always in your feels as a fan after a loss, so you try to overcompensate. But I will say this, Mo, every team deals with injuries. Every team has them. Miami's dealing with injuries right now, but Miami's starting to come out on the other side. Ramsey's getting ready to come back, whether it's this week or it's next week. Nick Needham is getting ready to come back. He is a great slot corner, whether it's this week or next week. A-Chain and Teron Armstead, starting running back, starting left tackle. They're going to be back after the bye week in a couple weeks. So the Dolphins are trending towards getting healthy. So all I'm saying to all you people out there is you want to throw stones right now, but they're 5-2 with a bunch of impact players hurt. I'm just saying, we'll see. We'll see where we end up.
And like you said, when your team loses, you feel the pain of it. And then the detractors of your team, they're on your Facebook page.
That's right.
I don't hear anything. Hey, look, I'm a Niners fan. We've lost 2 in a row. Do I like that? No, I'm bothered by it. And I'm bothered by the trend where the offense is going. But I don't make excuses. The other teams in both those games, they actually outplayed us. We've got to play better. Purdy's got to play better as a QB1. He's got to go back to not turning the ball over. And I'm going to trust in Shanahan that he's going to right the ship, but I'm not going to panic. I didn't think the Niners were going to go 17-0, so I'm fine with the criticism because it's kind of fun, right? That's what we do as sports fans. We kind of go back and forth at each other, and I'm good with that. That's the beauty of sports.
And then speaking of Brock Purdy, he is in concussion protocol, Mo. And again, I hate to say this, but because of Tua, I don't see any way he plays against the Bengals. Only because in the wake of everything that happened with Tua Tagovailoa, I don't see a quarterback clearing concussion protocol in less than a week. I just don't see it. And even if he could clear concussion protocol, I don't think they would let him play. I think they would hold him in and have him miss the game, because the downside of it, of them clearing him and then something happening, it would literally be the Tua thing in San Francisco.
100%.
So I don't think he's going to play this week. I think he's going to sit out, and I think he'll be back the following week. But Mo, that's not a good look if you're a 49ers fan. You need QB1. I know you got Steve Young coming off the bench.
I was getting ready to mention that. I was like, what are you worried about?
I know, and part of me is excited to see it. I'm excited to see Steve Young come off the bench, but I don't know.
I'm not nearly as excited as you are, but sure. I mean, if anybody in the league has Steve Young coming off their bench, I'm just saying, pinch me. Steve Young coming off the bench. So, so in reality, right, Sam Darnold's going to run the offense. What Shanahan is great at is he will tailor the offense to Sam Darnold's skill set, which means I think the play calling and the offense will be watered down considerably, and you have to play it that way. They're gonna have to rely on run and short passing game and defense, and we'll see where it goes. But like you said, it's not a good look heading into who we're getting ready to play.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those weeks where you just want to see a different team on your schedule.
Well, look what Minnesota did. I've said this before the season started. If there's a weakness in the 49ers is if you spread them out, you can attack them because they're not that deep in the secondary. Now guess who's coming to town? You don't think they're going to come out 3-4 wide receivers? Come on.
One of the best teams that's spreading them out. They have one of the best trios of receivers in the entire NFL with Chase, Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. So, and that's not counting their tight end and their running back and Mixon.
Right.
So
I'm gonna need Bosa to start earning that money this week. I'm gonna need him to show up this week because he was a no-show last week. You didn't even know he played in the Minnesota game.
Yes, he needs to just remind Burrow early that he is nursing a previous calf injury,
right?
And just kind of be like, hey, that probably still hurts a little bit. Let's calm it down, and then we'll see what happens. But again, what crazier things have happened in the NFL, Mo. So would we be surprised if they go out and beat Cincinnati? No, because we've seen plenty of losses we didn't think we would see this season. So
yes, and look, I was thinking about this when we did our picks every week. We don't keep track of our records, but I'm really curious what our records would be because we've taken a beat in the last.
Probably awful. Probably nothing to write home about.
I don't think we're 500. I think we're under 500.
I 100% believe you. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to discuss some NBA stuff. And then later on in the show, we have our Week 8 picks. So make sure you are sticking around until the end so you can hear all of those picks. But right now, we're heading to a break, and we're coming back talking basketball here on Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show with Chris and Mo here on Sports Empire Network.
What's up, everybody? It's Cottrell Simpson with Wire to Wire Sports Podcast, where we're going to cover all things breaking news, sports related. We're going to preview games, and we're also going to give you our reaction to the games that have happened before. You can catch us on Wednesdays from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And if you miss us there, no worries. You can also catch us on Roku with Northeast Streaming Sports Productions from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Hey, and listen, if you're not into all sports and just NFL, we have Sideline to Sideline. That's on Thursday nights from 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 8 p.m. We'll break down the NFL week, the Thursday night game, and we'll preview all NFL action.
And if you're like me and college football is your fix, tune in every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for Coast to Coast College Football pregame show. We'll review the previous week's action, the day's biggest games. We'll give you our pick'ems, and we'll even give you some teams that are on upset alert.
And if you don't catch us live, you can download us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to your podcast. We do also have a YouTube station, Wire to Wire Sports Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Welcome back. It is Coffee and Sports. It is the morning show here on Sports Empire Network. I am Chris, and that is Mo. And let's get into some basketball conversations, Mo. Let's start with this. The Chicago Bulls are not wasting any time. One game into the season, and they are having players-only meetings to address their first loss of the season. Granted, it was a loss that, it didn't look pretty. But, Mo, why are we having player-only meetings one game into the season? What do you think is going on in Chicago? What do you think was the motivation behind that players-only meeting? And, Mo, when you're having these kind of meetings this early in the season, it can't be a good thing.
I think what you have in Chicago is a bunch of finger pointing. And look, their three best players, DeRozan, Levine, Vucevic, terrific offensive players. They do not compete on the defensive side of the basketball. They just don't. And the problem is when you have three players like that, especially DeRozan and Levine, they're more ISO players. I don't think they share the ball more than they just take turns doing ISO actions and attacking the other team. I think there's a frustration in Chicago. I was surprised when they gave Vucevic the extension because I look at Chicago and I go, Vucevic is 31. DeRozan's 33, 34. So he's not part of your future either. I don't see the path forward for them. I'm actually surprised that they weren't having a fire sale. They weren't trying to just do a full-on rebuild because you look at that team and the way the roster's constructed, they're not going to compete for a title. They barely may compete for a playoff spot. I'm looking at Chicago, and I think they missed the playoffs again this year as well. So there's a frustration organizationally and in the locker room because the players want a better coach. I think they don't listen to the coach at all. They've totally tuned him out. And I think the organization is kind of hamstrung because they might want to move those guys, but I don't think they all have the same kind of value. Like Levine would probably bring you back the most. He's still in his 20s. A lot of people see his upside. I just don't know what the path forward is for this franchise because they're built to do just enough to disappoint their fan base.
Mo, we talked a lot a month or two ago about the new rules in the NBA for resting star players. And we were curious, at what point in the NBA season were we going to kind of see this pop up? Would we see a point in the season where a team was just like, screw it, and they would take the fine because, it's the second night of a back-to-back or it's been a long road series and people are banged up and they just don't care and they'll take the $100,000 fine to set someone. So we were kind of figuring out, like, what would this look like? And at what point would we kind of see these things first pop up? And, Mo, we didn't have to wait that long because it's already happened. The NBA, and of course it happens with James Harden.
Of course.
The NBA is investigating James Harden's absence from the season opener, and they are trying to figure out whether or not there was an approved reason for the 76ers sitting their all-star from a nationally televised basketball game. Now, Mo, we can look at this and we can probably tell you the reason. It may not be the approved reason, but we can tell you why James Harden
I know the
wasn't
reason.
there. So I don't see the NBA not fining the 76ers in this situation because there isn't going to be a legitimate reason as to why he was sitting out. We know the reason why, Mo. How do you think this shakes out?
They should get fined. He's not injured. There's nothing wrong with him physically. And basically, the Sixers and Harden have agreed to say, you don't play. Just sit until we can do something with you. If he's a member of the Sixers, if he's receiving a salary and he's not injured, he should be out there on the court, right? I mean, it really should be that simple. The problem is Daryl Morey can't let James Harden go. He can't quit him. He just can't let him go. I think the NBA is going to take a hard look at that. I don't even think it's required to take a hard look. You can take a glance at that and you know what's going on. James Harden is not playing because the word rhymes with funny. You know what I'm saying? That's why. The word that rhymes with funny is the reason why he's not playing. And until they rectify that, and look, here's the crazy thing. If you watched the game last night against the Bucs, I know the headline was, look at what Giannis and Dame did together. What I came away with that was a competitive game, and the Sixers were not at 100%. That is not a loaded Sixer team. If you had made that trade to the Clippers, and you got back Norman Powell and a Terrence Mann and the pick swaps and the pick, you would have an even more balanced team. Like Milwaukee's top heavy, but they definitely can be beaten. That was a close game. Dame had 30, I think he went for 39 or something like that. And Giannis had 23, and it still was a one possession game. I'm just saying, look inside the numbers. Milwaukee's talented, but they're top heavy. And if you look at their roster top to bottom, take away Giannis, and Milwaukee's probably one of the least athletic teams in the entire NBA.
And you're right, Mo. The lead coming out of that game is going to be Giannis and Dame combined for 62. That's the headline this morning because they won the game. They combined for 62 points. But you're right. Once you get into those numbers a little more, you look at the fact that Philadelphia played well without Harden. They probably played better without Harden than they would play with Harden.
Agreed.
And they're not a team at full strength. Whereas you look at Milwaukee, and it wasn't an even performance by both Dame and Giannis. And I value what Milwaukee fan is saying this morning. Let Dame get a little rest early in the game. He's going to be better late in the game. I value that. I totally see that. And I think that is a thing. But let's not act like Giannis and Dame went out there and set the world on fire. This game was there to be lost in the final minutes.
It was.
They didn't lose it. They did what they had to do to seal it, but let's not act like they went out there and they rolled Philly like some thought they were going to, because they did not.
No.
So
look at Tyrese Maxey. I think they lost the game primarily because they went away from him. Every action they did with him, coming off curls or pin downs or getting him at the top with a running start at the top of the key, every time he had those actions, they got something good out of it because curling off that action, they create a mismatch. Dame's in front of him or someone. No one can stay in front of Tyrese Maxey. And maybe for this Sixer team to be as good as they can be, maybe Tyrese Maxey might end up being their leading scorer. Or if he's not their leading scorer, he averages as much as Embiid. He has the talent to do it. And that's how you get past the whole James Harden hangover. Tyrese Maxey elevates. You deepen your roster by making the trade, and you're a more balanced basketball team.
another headline this morning, Mo, King James takes down the Suns.
Yeah.
LeBron had a nice performance last night. Him and KD went head to head. KD played great as well. But Mo, again, sometimes fans want to bury the lead. The reason it was a KD versus LeBron matchup is because KD was missing his two running mates. Bradley Beal did not play. Booker did not play. So, again, you win the games on your schedule. You beat the people who you need to beat each and every night. I take nothing away from LeBron or the Lakers, but Laker fan, don't sit here this morning and tell me that that is what it might be a month or so from now, or if you meet in the playoffs. You literally played a team missing two of its three superstars. So I get it. They didn't play. That's going to happen sometimes. Maybe if you meet in the playoffs, they won't be healthy and they won't play then either. But don't sit here and act like you took out a fully loaded Suns team, because you didn't. You took out Kevin Durant and the other people that weren't the superstars on that team. And I get it. You had to, because that's who was on the floor. But don't try to twist it this morning and be like, we're better than them. You're better than KD when he's missing his pieces.
Right. I'm watching the game. It's no secret. I'm a Laker fan. And as I'm watching the game, I'm wondering why this is a close game.
Right.
What is going on? How is this a close game? And I'm hearing all this about the defense, it's improved, and I'm like, no, if the defense is improved, the first thing you would have done coming out the box, you would have loaded up on KD in the first quarter. Now they, to their credit, they loaded up on him late in the fourth quarter, and they hedged on him, so they made it tougher on him. But throughout the game, they let him play one-on-one, and you can't let Kevin Durant play one-on-one. And the crazy part is you're letting him play one-on-one, and he's on the floor with four other guys that you couldn't recognize in the lineup. You couldn't. You really couldn't. And I didn't understand that. I was like, why is this such a close game? And people forget, yes, the Lakers won. It took a 28-11 fourth quarter for them to barely pull that out against a team that was missing. I'd actually say their best player. I think Booker's their best player and their third best player. But they were missing those guys. And that game was that close. And I'll take the win. I'll always take the win. But I'm like, that's kind of a scary proposition that we were at full strength and they were missing, let's say, at least two guys that are going to give you, 45, 50 points a night? That's scary.
Yeah, that is scary. Before we head to break, Mo, I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I wanted to get your reaction to it. The NBA has, at least for this season, nixed the new and improved All-Star game format with the captains and the draft for the captains. They're going back to the classic East versus West. I said yesterday here on the show that it's great, as far as, changing things up a little bit. I thought the captain stuff was good when it first started, but it's gotten kind of boring. None of it's really made me watch the All-Star game in the NBA regardless. So for me, I don't really care about the NBA All-Star game. But Mo, do you have an opinion of them going back to the classic East versus West?
No, I'm kind of where you are on this. Look, I love basketball. I do. I enjoy the NBA, but the least aspect of All-Star Weekend that I enjoy or don't enjoy is the actual All-Star game, because it's really it's more like a globetrotter event. It's not a basketball game. Guys are stepping out the way so guys can throw each other alley-oops. They're just running up and down, getting good cardio, doing fancy shots. I don't enjoy the game itself, so them going back to the old format, it doesn't impact me one way or another.
Let's head to a quick break, Mo. When we get back from our final break, we are going to get into all of the Week 8 NFL action. We are going to make our picks. Listen, if you're betting money, please don't be betting with our picks. Take our picks with a grain of salt. We will not be responsible for you losing money this weekend. Just listen to our insight and then trust your own gut. Because if you lose the house, I'm not taking responsibility for that.
Same.
So we'll be right back on the other side of this break. It is the morning show here on Sports Empire Network with Chris and Mo.
Hey guys, it's Pavel the Cat.
And Evan Rev Reynolds.
And we are Two Guys in Hockey Talk. We are here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time to talk all things hockey. What are we talking about, Evan?
We talk KHL, AHL, ETHL, every HL hockey league you can think about, prospects, juniors, even the professional women's hockey league.
Yeah, we love it. And we have a website, Two Guys in Hockey Talk. So give us a follow. We got articles on all things related to hockey, and we're writing all throughout the season. So make sure you tune in. We're also on X or Twitter. You can find me at hockey_2, and
you can follow me at RevanEv. Or you can also go to twoguysandhockeytalk.com to follow everything.
We love hearing from you guys, so make sure you tune in, comment, like, give us a follow on our Facebook and YouTube page. We love hearing from you guys, and it's a blast talking all things hockey, right, Evan?
Hey, man, it is. So, as we say every show, in the meantime and in between time,
keep your sticks on the ice. Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome back. It is Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show here on Sports Empire Network. I am Chris, and that is Mo. And if you are not tuning in to the Hockey Guys once a week, even if you don't like hockey, if you just like listening to two guys talk sports, drink beer, have cool accents, that's enough for me, Mo.
I do love the accents, and I love the music. I was sitting there listening to it. I was like, man, how come we don't have music?
We should get music. We got to get a music guy.
I think so. We need a music guy.
We need a music guy. We need a music guy. All right, let's get into week number 8 of the NFL season. Obviously, it was kicked off last night with the Bills knocking off the Buccaneers 24-18. Let's start with the 6-1 Philadelphia Eagles, tied for the best record in the NFL. They are heading to the 3-4 Washington Commanders. I know it's a division game, but Philly looked good. And even though they might struggle a little bit offensively, because let's be honest, even against Miami, they still turn the ball over a couple of times. And I think Philly still needs to work on their turnover issues. But I don't think Washington has enough to actually beat them. So I'm going to take Philly in this one.
I'm taking Philly as well. This is really just comes down to the better football team, the better defense. This is going to be maybe a good game because it's a division game, but I don't think Philly's going to lose this. They will find a way, even if they're not playing well, to do enough. Jalen Hurts looked great last week. If he's going to continue to play that way and use his legs a little bit more, Philly's going to be fine.
And again, we talk about Josh Allen. I hate to rag on Josh Allen, but look at what Hurts does. Hurts is the guy where he's not taking big hits out there. I mean, he was running all around in the Dolphins game, and he was sacked a few times, but his sacks were the pocket collapsing on him. Right. It wasn't situations where he rolled out and he got leveled by a linebacker. And if you look at most of his runs against the Dolphins, and I'm assuming this is probably the same for most of his runs all season, he's getting out of bounds. He's not being brought down in the field of play. Now, there's also times where he's throwing terrific passes before he goes out of bounds. Yeah. And those are producing great results as well. But that's the difference, I think, between two mobile quarterbacks. Someone like Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson has this issue at times as well. And he is even built like Josh Allen. So it's even more ridiculous to think about him doing it. But you have some of these mobile quarterbacks out there, Mo, that they welcome the hit. And I just don't the 17 games is too long. Too long, and your defense is too much bigger than you to be welcoming hits as much as these guys do.
I think Hurts has learned at a young age that he lived to fight another day. You know what? I turned a 5-yard loss into a 5-yard gain. I'll get out of bounds. I'll take the 5 yard.
I don't need two more.
With that. Right.
Two more is not going to make or break me.
I'm not going to challenge that safety for 2 more. I think Jalen Hurts, he plays with an older veteran savvy, and I like that about him.
The division leading 4-3 Atlanta Falcons head to the 2-4 Tennessee Titans. Tennessee is well in the make or break mode, not just to their season mode, but to their future. Ryan Tannehill is not playing. Will Levis is getting a start at quarterback. Obviously, if Levis plays well the remainder of the season, Tennessee could still potentially be a playoff team. Do we think that's going to happen? Probably not. I mean, he is a young quarterback. He's going to have his natural rookie struggles. And let's be honest, I think that many people were split 50-50 on Will Levis being an actual starting NFL quarterback to start off with. No doubt. So if he lives up to that moniker, he's going to have moments that are not pretty. I think Tennessee will be in this game just because Atlanta is a very up and down team, but I don't think Tennessee finds a way to win this. I think they're up against too much. I mean, who knows who is still on this team come Sunday? Who knows who is still on this team come the trade deadline on Tuesday?
Yeah, Derrick Henry rumors. They're talking about maybe moving him.
This is a team that is definitely in flux. I don't foresee them shutting out all that noise and the overcoming a rookie quarterback starting. I'm going to go with Atlanta.
Here's the crazy thing. Every time I pick Atlanta, they lose.
I know.
So I'm going to try a different thing. I think Tennessee is going to win, but I'm picking Atlanta. Let me see how that works.
Let's see how that works. The 5-2 Jacksonville Jaguars are visiting the surprising 4-2 Pittsburgh Steelers. I have no idea how Pittsburgh is 4-2.
Tomlin.
Right. Because offensively, they are nothing on the offensive side of the football, but yet they are finding ways to win games. I think Jacksonville's a better team. I like Jacksonville's defense in this spot, even though they're on the road. I'm going Jacksonville, but I am shocked that Pittsburgh is 4-2 with how they're playing.
They find ways to win. Special team, defense, they turn you over. Their offense is nothing to write home about. They're really doing it with smoke and mirrors, and their coach. It's impressive. It is impressive. People talk about contenders, pretenders. I don't think the Steelers are contenders, but it's impressive to see what they've done. I'm going to take the Jags because I just think the Jags are just out and out the better football team. They've got weapons. They've got a better quarterback. There's no reason Jacksonville should lose this game. I've learned the hard way through this season with our picks, but I'm taking the Jags to win this.
The New England Patriots at 2-5 head down to South Florida to the Miami Dolphins, who are 5-2. New England's coming off a big win against the Buffalo Bills. Miami is coming off a disappointing loss against the Philadelphia Eagles. However, I saw what the Patriots did against Buffalo, and I'm not taking anything away from the Patriots. Mac Jones played well. He's not that guy, and they don't have that system, and I don't think he can do it 2 games in a row. I also think that Miami being at home, Miami being embarrassed in the primetime game against the Eagles, Tyreek, who's dealing with a hip injury, has already said he's fine and he's playing this week. Waddle had back spasms in the Philly game. He said he's fine. He's playing this week. People are coming back on the defensive side of the ball. The Patriots have already struggled the last 4 or 5 years in Miami as it is. They usually win in Foxborough. They usually lose in Miami. I don't see it being a close game. I think Miami wins by 10 or 12 points. Miami's already beaten them this season at home. I don't know, Mo. I mean, anything can happen, but I'm going Dolphins here.
It isn't anything can happen season. I'm going to take the Dolphins, even though I do believe the Patriots, they know how to play Tyreek a certain way, but I think that with Waddle and the other weapons coming back, Tua will be patient. He will go through his reads and find other guys. Maybe this game, Tyreek is more a draw, you know what I mean, rather than the main focus. So I do think the Dolphins will win this football game. It might be close in the first half, but I think they pull away by a couple touchdowns.
And I will say this, Tyreek is playing with a little bit of history up against him right now. Through 8 games in an NFL season, no wide receiver has ever hit the 1,000-yard mark after 8 games. He is 95 yards away from doing that. So on his quest to 2,000 yards, we're getting towards the halfway point right now. And I have a sneaky feeling that he wants to be the first wide receiver to hit 1,000 after 8.
Well, even if they slow him down, I think he can get 90, 95 yards. I mean, that's kind of weird to say. We slowed him down, but he's that dude. So yeah, I can see him hitting that mark.
So I think he's gonna put up his numbers, but we'll see. The New York Jets, the 3-3, and we want to talk about surprising teams. The 3-3 New York Jets are heading to the 2-5 Giants. I can't believe I'm going to say this, Mo. But
you're not going to say Giants.
No, I'm going to go with the Jets. And I know the Giants just won a game, but they won a game they were trying to lose. I feel like they didn't really want to win that game. So I'm going Jets. I think the Jets are going to get to 4-3.
I'm going to go Jets. I think the Jets defense will create some turnovers. They're going to create havoc on Tyrod Taylor. He's going to be under duress the whole game. So I don't even think this is going to be a close game. I'm going Jets.
And, it was such a great story. Tyrod Taylor, first black quarterback to ever win a game as a starting quarterback for the New York Giants. That was a cool story. Seeing Tyrod have the chance to play again after the whole debacle a few years ago where he got beat up by the Chargers medical staff with a punctured lung and basically lost his job forever with the Chargers when it looked like he was probably going to start at least for most of that year if they were successful. So to see him get a chance. And
he's had a really good career.
He has. And I know, he probably wouldn't keep the Giants starting job over Daniel Jones because of what they're paying Daniel Jones. But Mo, I ask you this. If the pay were the same, who would you start?
Tyrod Taylor.
Exactly. And that's
people don't want to hear this, but they have the same skill sets.
Yep.
The only difference is I think Tyrod Taylor's a little bit better.
Yeah. And that's the tough part for a guy like Tyrod to know that if Danny Dimes wasn't making 45 large, he would probably be the starting quarterback for this team.
That's insane. Look, some of these contracts, I get it. You got to lock down that quarterback, but it's got to be the right quarterback.
Right, you just can't lock down anyone.
Right.
The 3-4 Rams head to the 4-2 Cowboys. Man, Mo, the Rams are an interesting team because they got the talent there. They can't put it together sometimes. And I picked them to win last week against the Steelers, and they looked like for a while they were going to win. And then the Steelers, just like you said, they do that Steelers thing where things just kind of fall the way they need to fall towards the end of games, and the Steelers pull that win out. I think the Cowboys are the better team, so I'm going to go Dallas here, but I think it's going to be competitive.
I'm going to go Dallas, and the thing about the Rams is they're hit and miss Jekyll and Hyde offensively, but that's predominantly because of their offensive line. It's the offensive line. When Stafford has any kind of time, he will eat your secondary alive. And with the weapons that he has on the outside, look, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the rookie's name because I'll chop it up. But the young man is killing it. He is killing it. So I just think that it'll be a competitive game, but I'm going to give the edge to Dallas.
The 3-4 Saints are going to the 3-4 Colts. This might be one of the most challenging games to call this week. I think we're going to see a lot of Derek Carr yelling, but I also think we're going to see more. I know he said he was going to slow down, but I think we're going to see more. And I'm going to take the Saints in a little upset. I think a little upset on the road, but I'm going to go Saints.
You know what? I can't. I know he's cursing and swearing, but I'm going to bet against the Saints. I'm going to go Colts. I'm going to go Colts. If JG were on the show, and I know he's a raving Saints fan, so is Will. But look, the Derek Carr thing, I feel about him the way people feel about Russ. I don't get it. I don't get it.
He's just a mad guy. He's just mad. He's angry.
Yeah, well, I don't think that helps your teammates going around cursing and talking. He was cursing to himself at one point. Like that might get you under the blue tent. Like, come on, man, you all right?
The 3-3, another surprising team, the 3-3 Houston Texans, who are in the mix,
very surprising,
in the mix for their division right now, head to the 0-6 Panthers. Mo, we are looking at a situation where after this week, the New York Jets without Aaron Rodgers and the Houston Texans with their rookie quarterback and their rookie head coach could both be 4-3. And I think it's going to happen because I'm taking the Texans.
Look, I've always believed in DeMeco Ryans. He's one of my favorite guys, and I love what he's doing out there. And C.J. Stroud is a dude. He's a dog. C.J. Stroud is going to be a problem for years to come. They've got building blocks, and I do believe them and the Jets, the Texans, will both be 4-3.
This just came across my phone. Apparently, Deshaun Watson snapped at reporters yesterday as they were questioning his desire to play football. So that's great. That's great, Cleveland fans. Now you're harassing the quarterback who's clearly injured. Like if you are a member of the Cleveland media and you are alluding to the fact that your starting quarterback might be quitting on the team after you watched him go 1 for 5 for 5 yards, and take away his media credentials. He should. Why are you asking questions like that?
Right. Look, the guy played clearly not 100%. Went out there and he was almost incapacitated, right? And he was out there trying to play. So you can say a lot of things about Deshaun Watson. Let's not question his desire to compete.
The Browns head to Seattle this week. Both teams are 4-2. This could be a potentially good matchup this weekend. However, I don't know, Mo, that there comes a point where PJ Walker is going to start playing like PJ Walker. Like, I get that the defense is really, really good, but this defense also just gave up almost 40 points to the Indianapolis Colts. So we've seen this defense, be historic through the first 4 or 5 games this season. And then we see them get piled on by Gardner Minshew. and the Indianapolis Colts. So I don't know what we're going to get out of Cleveland. I also don't know what we're going to get out of Seattle because Geno Smith is playing closer to what Geno Smith should be playing at. So I'm just going to go with the home team. I'm going to take Seattle at home.
The defense in Cleveland is one of the best in football, but it can be erratic. But what I would say is, as a unit, they can be up and down at times. But Myles Garrett is a monster every single game.
Can't stop that man. Scary man.
And Geno's in trouble. I'm gonna go with Cleveland. I understand what you make a great point about the young quarterback Walker. But I do think that because they ask him to do so little, as long as the defense is holding it down, I think Cleveland's gonna find a way to win. So I'm gonna take Cleveland.
The comeback kids, also known as the Minnesota Vikings. The 3-4 Vikings head to the 2-4 Packers. Can't believe I'm saying this either, Mo, but I think the Vikings are going to be a 500 team after this weekend, after their 1-4 start. Jordan Love has fallen off a cliff, in my opinion. I don't care if he put together 2 decent drives last week that put them back into that game, because I'm not going to ignore the other 3 quarters of god-awful football that he played. I think Kirk Cousins and company are feeling it after their most recent victory. I think Addison is feeling it. I think we are going to see an explosive Minnesota Vikings offense. And I think that the defense has to do just enough because Jordan Love's going to give you the chance to seal the game. So I'm going Vikings.
I'm going Vikings, and it's interesting. You lose your best player in Justin Jefferson, and suddenly Kirk Cousins, he's spreading the ball around more.
Mm-hmm.
And now Addison's become in play. And now Hawkinson's back in play. So I think by losing their best player, they've become a little bit more diverse. You're getting the best version of Captain Kirk. So I'm on the bandwagon. I think the Vikings offense put up too much points for the Packers to play with. I don't think Green Bay can score with Minnesota.
The Cincinnati Bengals are traveling to the Bay Area to play the San Francisco 49ers. The Bengals are also trying to recover from that slow start. They are 500 right now. They're trying to get to over 500 and compete in the mix with that division. That division is all above them right now. They are 3-3 and last in their division. The Niners are trying to break their 2-game losing streak. They potentially are not going to have QB1 this weekend. Everything is setting up for the 49ers to lose this game, which is why I'm going to pick the 49ers. Because I've seen it too many times in the NFL. When everything is pointing to one team is going to lose, that team somehow finds a way to win it. And I'm going to look at this game and say, 1, you're at home. 2, you still have the defense that you have. And 3, I think that offensively they can scheme enough to put 20 points on the board. I think it's going to be a 20-17 San Francisco win.
I'm going to take the Niners because I'm a Niner fan. But one of the reasons why losing to the Vikings was so devastating is because I knew on the schedule the next team up was Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw what Kirk Cousins did to them, I thought, oh, my God, what is Joe Burrow and company going to do? Like, this game comes down to something real simple. If Joe Burrow has time, we lose. It is literally that simple. They're going to need a big game from the front 7 to slow down Joe Burrow. I'm going to take the Niners, but I don't feel comfortable in my pick because I really do think Cincinnati's going to come out from drive 1 for a wide receiver set.
If the Bengals score 21 points, the Niners don't win this game.
No way.
I don't think the Niners can score 21 points in this game. So if the Bengals score 3 touchdowns, this game is over, in my opinion.
Agreed.
The 6-1 Kansas City Chiefs are heading to the 2-5 Denver Broncos. This should be over by the middle of the second quarter. I'm not even going to say by halftime. The Broncos are not going to be – I don't care what the Broncos did recently. They are not going to be able to stop Travis Kelce. They are not going to be able to stop Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid, out of respect, might call off the dogs in the fourth quarter. Out of respect to Coach Payton. But this is not going to be a close game. I'm going Chiefs.
You know what? I think you're right. I think it's not going to be a close game. But if I were Sean Payton and I were in the midst of the season that I'm having, this is one of those games where this is like your Super Bowl. like you might have a bad season, but if you beat the Chiefs, this is one of them games where you can hang your hats on them when the fans can go, you know what? There might be some hope yet. I mean, this is your Super Bowl. So I do think they're going to come out and play as hard as possible. I think they're going to compete. I think it's going to be close early, but I think in the second half, Mahomes, Reed, Kelsey, they pull away.
It's interesting, Mo, because as a Dolphin fan, I see other headlines from other teams in our division, right? So the narrative in New England this week is if the 2-5 Patriots can knock off Miami, they push themselves back into the relevancy picture at 3-5. I think that's a ridiculous assumption because at 3-5, I don't know where you think you're going, but okay, fine. That's not the talk in Denver. There is no talk in Denver of if we knock off the Chiefs and get to 3-5, we're back in it.
Right.
It's interesting to look at 2-5 teams that are in completely different spots.
Right.
Because Patriot fan thinks if we knock off the team leading our division, we're in this thing. Broncos fan is like, if there's a miracle and we beat Kansas City, we're still only going to win 5 games this season.
Right. Bronco fans are probably like, well, at least we got that one game to talk about all year. Like, we get that one game.
Completely different.
You're living
spots.
in 2 different worlds. Yeah, 100%.
It's crazy.
Fan bases are crazy like that. 100%.
Yeah, 100% wild. Last game we have 2 games actually. 5-2 Ravens going to the 1-6 Cardinals. I'd like to say the Ravens will have a letdown after blowing the doors off of the Detroit Lions, but I don't think you're going to have a letdown against the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe Lamar looks a little off in the first quarter and maybe they get off to a slow start, but there's just not enough talent on this Arizona team to where I think that the Ravens would actually lose this game. So it might be sluggish in the beginning, but I think the Ravens are still going to pull away pretty easily with this one.
Cardinals are a scrappy team. They will compete hard, but the Ravens would literally have to shoot themselves in the foot times 2 to lose this football game. So I expect Lamar and company to find a way to get the win.
And then last but not least, the 2-5 Chicago Bears head to the 2-4 Chargers. I don't know, Mo. I mean, I thought Chicago was going to get rickrolled last week without their starting quarterback in there, and they had like their best offensive performance of the year, and they won their first home game in like a calendar year.
Right.
So I don't know. The Chargers should win this game. They are immensely more talented.
Everything tells me Chargers win, and yet.
So we're picking the Bears?
I'm picking the Bears.
I'm picking the Bears. Because you're right. Everything says the Chargers should win this game by 20, which means they're going to lose by 10 to the Bears.
And everything that could go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah. So let's I'll go Bears. You'll go Bears. We'll all go Bears. And that's where we're at right now. We've made the logical picks through the first 7 weeks, and we've been embarrassed here on the morning show. Yeah. So now we're just going to start saying when it looks like a duck, it's not a duck.
We're just going to start doing crazy stuff. We're just winging it. We're just going to wing it.
I'm throwing it out there. All right, Mo. Great show this morning. Great way to wrap up the week. Quick shout out to everyone who was in the chat this morning. Key was in there. Gene was in there. Chuck was in there. We appreciate all the love in the chat. Thank you so much to those of you who were following us this morning on Facebook and YouTube. Mo, close us out, sir.
Hey, thanks for everybody for tuning in. We appreciate the support and the love. Smash that like button. Share all the content that we have to offer to you from Sports Empire Network. It's the morning show with Chris and Mo.
Make sure you're here Monday morning next week. We break down everything that happened in week 8. We're probably going to miss a bunch of things that we just didn't see happening. But we'll go through all of it on the morning show on Monday. Same time, same place. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the sports. We will see you back here Monday. Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show here on Sports Empire Network.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready. I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face.
Oh, I'm from Brooklyn.
Hey, isn't he?